1990, St. Louis, Missouri. I was attending a Neuro emotional technique seminar. And during the seminar, I felt this longing and this depression and loneliness. And during one of the breaks, I was thinking about this man, Charles, a new friend of mine, and I really wanted to spend more time with him. And at this technique in this seminar, I had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Scott Walker. And he said, let's work on this issue. And as we were doing the NET technique, found out that we went back into the womb. I heard about the vanishing twin from previous seminars, and I kind of was familiar with it. And as we were doing this technique, as I said, we went back into the womb, my prenatal experience, and we went back to the 5th trimester. And during that time, we found out my twin vanished. My twin sister died in the 5th month. And what happened is, it made sense. It just felt right. When I hear truth, it's like a hand into a glove. And I was thinking, my sister, Barbara, every time someone called us twins, it just brought peace to my soul. We did everything together, best friends, told secrets to each other. I thought, well, maybe Barbara was my twin, but no, I put her in the slot of my twin. First thing that I did is I went downstairs, this is 1990, went to a payphone and used my MCI card and called my mother. And when I called my mother, I said, Mom, I think I'm a twin. I just found out that I am a twin and have a twin sister. And my mother said, that sounds right. She started crying. She said, I knew that you had to come to this earth quickly, and maybe that's why you're so close to your sister Barbara. So I want to talk about, what if you are a twin, and maybe your twin vanished, or maybe your twin died at birth? What if? What if? The true meaning of doctor is teacher, and I'm here to teach, both from my personal experience and from all the research that I've done. We talk about perception. Our perceptions change when knowledge comes. What is your perception concerning the lost twin, and what's happened? And maybe it's a partner of yours, or a family member, or a close friend that is always seeking for something that's missing. So what if your twin vanished? Here's a picture of me at 6 months. Hair's about the same, a little bit shorter. Happy then, happy now. And when I was born into a family of lots of siblings, today I have 4 older siblings, 4 younger siblings, 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers, 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters. I come from a great family that loves me dearly. And so when you think about who I am, I'm Dr. Brent H. Babcock. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and I'm a certified NET practitioner, and I'm an author. We'll talk about the book that I wrote in 2009 and had it published. And I was Doctor of the Year for the NET program in 2002, based on the work that I've done for NET and with NET and with my vanishing twin expert. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and my grandchildren call me BPOP. That's who I am. Let's talk about the vanishing twin. What is it all about? What is known? What is to know? And what next? What next? So I found this little bracelet. My twin is in heaven. I know where my sister is. She's in heaven. Yes, I miss her and long for her, think about her. At times she still comes up in my life about what if and what happened. So after I found out that I'm a survivor of a vanishing twin, I started doing research. Started buying books and studying books and searching and doing therapy upon myself with great help. Here's a book about multiple pregnancy by the Keith brothers, they're medical doctors, twins. And also another book, Womb Mates, Fertility and Training. The other book is The Mind of Your New Baby. That's by Dr. David Chamberlain. I met him at an NET seminar in Hawaii. Great, great, great man, great research. And he brought to the world fetuses feel. Before that, people thought they don't feel, they're not alive, they don't think. He proved through his research as a counselor, therapist, that fetuses feel. The other book is Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert. I'll talk about her a little bit later on. The other books, here I am with Dr. David Chamberlain. We spoke together in California on the same platform, and he helped me with my book and assisted it with me. And also there's Twins by Lawrence Wright and what they tell us about who we are. A lot of experiments and a lot of research has been done with twins to figure out what's the difference in people and their thoughts and diseases and other processes in their body. The other one is by Nancy Siegel, Twins and what they tell us about human behavior entwined in twin lives. And also Elizabeth Noble, Having Twins. She wrote this book where she started talking about vanishing twins and what happens. Also, The End of Twins by Saul Dilskin, a memoir of a loving brother. His brother did not pass away in the womb, but it's about twinning and what takes place. Also, Twin Loss by Raymond Brandt. And we'll talk about him later, what he discovered and what he's done for twins. And also Joan Woodward, The Lone Twin, Understanding Twin Bereavement and Loss. Joan is in Great Britain. She's a friend of mine. She created the Lone Twin Network for those here in Europe. And I've visited with her often, and that's her book. The magazines started talking about the twin that vanished. The Discover magazine had a great article. And also Time magazine in October 2010, how the first 9 months shape the rest of your life. And I'll talk about what happens in the womb that shapes the rest of your life, physically and emotionally. Someone I love was never born. And what's happened with people like me, experienced death before we experienced birth and life, and the trauma that takes place, and what happened, and who is responsible, and why is it my fault, is it her fault, and what's the influence of God in this situation. When I finished writing my book, I decided to celebrate. Wayne Dyer, a friend of mine, he would finish a book and he would always buy a new car. He wrote most of his books while he was in Hawaii. So I finished my book and I went to Bermuda just to celebrate and be away and think and enjoy Bermuda. And while I was on the airplane, I fell asleep. I was looking for a mantra, a saying concerning this research project. And what came to me when I was asleep, the missing piece to the puzzle of your life. As we look for answers in the puzzle, we have so many pieces, we try to match them together at the right time with the right information. And as you look at the presentation, you look at the puzzle coming together. And I hope that as you listen to this video and watch and read my information, you'll get that connection that I have that I want to share with you. And so as you search on Google, the vanishing twin, vanishing twins, vanishing twin syndrome, vanishing twin ultrasounds, you'll be amazed how many hits there are now. There's over 4.5 million hits on the internet. And it's increasing each day as more research done, more stories, more experiences are being shared. Twinning, what's it all about? What's the embryology? It's happening. It takes place more now than ever because of in vitro fertilization. Older women are having children, and it could be one egg, it could be two eggs, it could be two sperms. It happens, the fraternal, the identical. We're going to talk about a little bit about twinning. What would you guess would be the percentage of twins being conceived and the loss, the death of a twin or both of them? It's a great question, and it's a question that so many people ask. In my research over all these years, 1 out of 8 pregnancies starts as twins, and one of the twins dies. 80% of twin pregnancies result in one or both twins passing away. 21 to 30% of all multiple pregnancies result in a vanished twin. It was Dr. Hadley, Dr. Keith, and his brother Dr. Keith did this research that talked about this article is a synopsis of all the research that's been done. And they did this years and years ago. 1982, they published this. The basis of our literature search and male surveys, we conclude that the phenomenon The vanishing twin does exist. And I beg to differ with them about a phenomenon. A phenomenon is something that doesn't happen very often. This happens very often. As I work with my patients, they come in for a consultation, and as they talk, I start listening to their words, and they'll say, we. They always speak in a plural of we, but there's only one of them there. Or they buy two of everything. Or we'll come back tomorrow. Well, it's only you. So on their chart, I'll write VT ? Or they perhaps are left-handed. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And so just the possibility that maybe they are a vanished twin. Now, some people could be a vanished twin and it doesn't bother them. They don't have any emotional situations from it because somehow, some way they dealt with it. And other people that I see and I treat and I care for, it's a life-changing experience. It says, the disappearance is unclear at the present time, why or how. And also it says, it happens in the latter half of the first trimester or the early part of the second trimester. And in my experience, that's what I've usually seen. It's in the first trimester or the second trimester. Rarely is it in the third trimester where the twin vanishes. Health and disease begin in the womb. Love and hatred begin in the womb. War and peace begin in the womb. Lara Artera Huxley. Here's some images from twins in the womb from a 3D view that they've done lately. Here's another quote from Donald Keith, who wrote this book and who's written a lot of books about the vanishing twin. Bond between twins is stronger than that of mother-child and husband and wife. At this time, I want to share a video that I created that explains more about the vanished twin. I know you'll enjoy it.
Ultrasound scans have let us in on a startling secret. Many of us, more than we realize, traveled our first few months in the womb with one or more companions, only to have them vanish before birth. This scan, taken at 12 weeks, shows two fetuses developing in their mother's womb. But there are 3 gestational spaces. The one on the right used to contain a third fetus. Four weeks ago, it was developing just like the others. But now it has simply gone, slowly shrinking before being reabsorbed back into the uterine lining. It's called vanishing twin syndrome. Scientists think that this is caused by chromosomal abnormalities or a lack of adequate resources from the overworked placenta. Nature sacrifices one or more so the others survive. Some mothers know they have a vanishing twin after seeing it on a scan like this one. Others discover at birth, when it occasionally shows up as a small piece of fibrous tissue on the placenta. But many mothers and their surviving babies will never know it has happened. Most of us find it surprising that twins can vanish. But how often it occurs is even more surprising. Some scientists estimate that up to 21% of fraternal twins lose their sibling. In the case of identicals who share a placenta, the number rises to a startling 50%. Some even claim that 1 of every 8 people may have started life as a twin, only to have their sibling disappear while still in the womb. What's more, scientists think they can point to clues which may indicate which of us have lost a twin.
Since I uploaded this video on YouTube, it's received over 57,000 views and continues to have more views each and every day. So what happens to the death of a twin? There's three different options that happen. One of the options is the mother absorbs the dead twin. I read one research that a lady had her DNA tested, and she had 10 different DNAs in her body from the pregnancies that she's had. So there's remnants of the dead twin in the mother, and we'll talk about the ramifications with the mother. Another option is that the fetal tissue is aborted, a miscarriage, a bloody show. The mother starts bleeding, she thinks she is having a miscarriage, but we'll talk about what can happen. The third option is that the surviving twin absorbs the dead twin. As I search upon PubMed, which is a medical resource on the internet, there's over 153 articles that pertain to the vanishing twin. Over the years, after I found out I'm a survivor of a twin that vanished, I started looking for a book that had the explanation and what to do and why. There wasn't such a book. And so in 2002, I decided to write a book, and I did. The name of the book is My Twin Vanished, Did Yours? I'm going to show you a trailer now concerning my book.
Do you ever feel like part of you is missing? 1/8 of all pregnancies start with twins, and one of those twins dies. Do you want personal peace? It is time to find out what you do and why you do it. Are you struggling to find that missing relationship that was severed in the womb? Dr. Brent Babcock shows us the answers to these questions in My Twin Vanished, Did Yours? Available where books are sold.
Here's a copy of my book, My Twin Vanished, Did Yours? The Vanishing Twin Crisis. I feel that it is a crisis because so many people, millions of people, are not happy, not at peace, searching for something or someone that they haven't been able to find. And here in Berlin today, I have copies that I'll sign for you that I'll be able to give to you as a gift from me. My Twin Vanished. You look at the man here, right here on this abyss, looking, trying to decide what to do. And in this book, I have accumulation of all the different experiences myself and others, which we'll talk about today. Dr. Raymond Brandt, founder of the Twinless Twin Group. His brother passed away, and he was going through the depression and the loneliness, and he created the Twinless Twin Group, the founder of it. And here's a quote that he has. There are countless people who lost their twin in utero, stillborn, and early infant deaths who were never told, yet they always harbored a feeling of something greatly missing in their life. When told, then frustrating pieces of the puzzle fall together with new meaning from completeness, yet still twinless. This was July 1st, 1996. At this time, I'd like to share with you a recent experience I had with Izzy, restless Izzy. She came into the clinic and her mother asked me to help her through neuroemotional technique. We know that Izzy is a survivor of a vanished twin. At her birth, there was an extra placenta there, so we've known since her birth, 3 years ago, that she's a survivor of a vanishing twin. Her mother shared with me that when she put her in the car seat, she was just restless and she would unlatch it and try to get out. Her mother tied some rope or shoelace to keep her restrained in there. And I asked her, is it just the car seat? No, because at home she's restless also. Just can't be constrained, can't hold still. So during the technique, we came to the emotion of anguish. Who feels hurt concerning being restrained? And it was Izzy. And then we're like, why does Izzy feel hurt? Why does she want to be out and about? And as we're discussing this, her mother said, she's searching for her twin sister. And then she told me, the mother, that she'll go to a soccer game with her siblings, or she'll go to a basketball game, or a church event, and she'll find any 3-year-old girl and go up and hug her and talk to her and try to connect with her. And then after a few minutes, she leaves her. And she'll be doing this her whole life, trying to find that twin that's up in heaven here on earth. Or she'll put a sibling in that role, or a girlfriend, or somebody else, trying to get that person into that mold, in that role, which wouldn't happen, and which won't take place. After I treated her, her mother told me a couple days later that she's more content, more at peace in the car seat, at the house, and at different events. SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, or crib death. This takes place throughout the world. These little children die in their cribs during the night. SIDS, or crib death, is one of the leading causes of infant death, accounting for nearly 3,000 deaths annually in the United States. SIDS becomes the leading cause of death in otherwise healthy babies after 1 month of age. SIDS accounted for 11,462, or 57% of all infant deaths from 2000 to 2004. And here's a chart that talks about the states that have the most SIDS deaths in each state. And what they did, the autopsies of these children, they found a majority of the babies that died had an increased level of testosterone. Why would they have an increased level of testosterone? And my hypothesis is during the growth in the womb, they were exposed to a brother, a male, that the testosterone covered their body and could possibly have caused the death. I want to share another experience concerning my son Cameron. When he was born in 1992, had quite a few medical difficulties. We were going from doctor to doctor, hospital to hospital, trying to figure out what was wrong. And in November of 1992, we met another doctor, Dr. Debbie Walker, who was treating Cameron. And she determined at that time, he too was a survivor of a vanished twin. A brother passed away. And when Cameron was born, he saw his older brother, Kyle, and attached to him and tried to connect with him and tried to put him in that role. There were some other issues too with Cameron, but then we knew that Cameron was a surviving twin. And you can see the picture of him when he graduated from Brigham Young University. And Cameron has known his whole life that he's a surviving twin. One time I heard him in his bedroom playing with his toys. He was talking and talking and talking, and I wondered, who's in there with him? I went in there, he was sitting by himself with all his toys spread out on the floor, and I said, who are you talking to, Cameron? He said, my twin brother. That was a neat, special experience for him and for me. Later on in life, Cameron, a couple years later after this, he kept falling down the staircases at our home. And after this happened, we decided, this is interesting. And we were having prayer with him one time, and during the prayer, we felt that his guardian angel would keep an eye on him. And a lot of people talk about their guardian angel, and I believe that that's probably their vanished twin that's just keeping an eye on them, protecting them, guiding them, and inspiring them. What happens a lot of times when there's the fetal tissue that's aborted and there's a bloody show, immediately they would do a D&C to clean out the womb and the uterus, thinking that there is no other living being in there. And so I phoned Dr. David Peterson as soon as I read this about what's going on with Izzy. He's an obstetrician. He said, yes, we used to do these D&Cs after a bloody show thinking that they had a miscarriage. Not anymore, Dr. Babcock. An ultrasound is always done to make sure there's not a viable twin growing in the womb. Here's another great story I'd like to share with you, which is in the book. It's about Riley and Amy. Riley was born very sick many, many years ago. Couldn't get well, not happy, screaming all the time, not sleeping well. His mother searched and searched from different doctors, and her mother, the grandmother of Riley, said, go see Dr. Babcock. He does neuroemotional technique. Riley came in, just sick little boy. I adjusted him with chiropractic manipulation and started doing the neuroemotional technique, and found out that he too had a twin sister, Amy. And he would come in, as in this slide, with his Amy. I would treat Amy, just playing with her, and then I would treat Riley. And Riley just turned around for the better, healthy young man. And here's some images of him now. And here's Riley today. He's 6'4", he's a senior in high school. He's going to join the Army when he graduates from high school. And Riley will call me and he'd say, Dr. Babcock, I need some time to get some more things worked out concerning my twin that's passed away, or a relationship with my girlfriend, or my parents, or at school. He knows that through neuroemotional technique, he can find peace and health and happiness. What is a teratoma? A teratoma is tissue, foreign tissue in a different part of the body, like hair, teeth, or bone. On page 71 of my book, it says, in general medical terms, a teratoma is a tumor or a group of tumors composed of tissue foreign to the site of growth. A close friend of mine, Dwayne Thompson, was reading the drafts of my book. And when he got to the part that talked about a teratoma, he said, Dr. Babcock, I've had a cyst in my previous years on my low back area. And they said it was a cyst that had some teeth and hair in it. Not once did they say it was the remains of my dead twin. At times in his life it would grow, they'd have to train it. And after I did some NET on that cyst, the itching, the pain disappeared. And he knew that he had a twin that passed away. In the movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, there's the aunt who talked about her lump in her neck, that had a biopsy done when she was going through menopause, and it started growing, this cyst started growing. And what they found in there was some tissue, some foreign tissue. And she talks about the biopsy. And in that biopsy, they found her dead twin. Inside the lump was my twin. It's a great little part, but it talks about the commonality of dermoid cysts. A Colorado doctor finds a foot in a newborn's brain. This article talks about this baby's born, they do some MRIs, and they find a foot in the baby's brain. That is a teratoma, the remains of a twin that vanished. Also, in Maryland, this was an infant that had teeth in the brain also. Those are teratomas. And as you Google teratomas, there's all sorts of different teratomas and dermoid cysts. One of my patients had a lump on her head when she was born, and it remained there for years and years and years. It wasn't growing, it wasn't diminishing, and when she was 8 years old, they did the surgery, pulled out the tissue that didn't belong there, and sewed her back up. That is a dead twin that was absorbed by the surviving twin. A year ago, I was attending an x-ray seminar, and the professor that had these x-rays showed us a finger that was in the hip, the digit that was in the hip. And I raised my hand and I said to the class, that's a teratoma. No one in the room understood what I was talking about, and I said it's a bone from the dead twin that was remained in the surviving twin in the pelvis. And there's a picture of the digit in the left hip. I found this image on the internet. It's from a 2,000-year-old skeleton of a female in Rome, and she had bone and teeth in her hip also. So this is a 2,000-year-old skeleton with a teratoma. My hypothesis is that the stress upon the surviving twin from the death of a twin could cause ADHD. Incredible stress in the womb can cause other conditions also. I want to share with you a really important concept. What the mother feels, the fetus feels. What the fetus feels, the mother feels. I teach that the umbilical cord is a two-way communication cord. And through the research that I've found, it shows the stress upon the mother and how it affects the fetus, and stress upon the fetus, how it affects the mother. I found this research article that took place during World War II. It's done by Houghton and Nitschken. Out of 335 children, 167 children, the fathers died before birth. 168 children, the fathers died after birth. And they followed these children for 35 years. Parents were the same age, same social class. And the results, the conclusion was, children of fathers who died before birth were at risk for criminality, alcoholism, and mental illness. And so the stress of the dad passing away before they were born created more stress than when after the dad died after birth. What stress would be placed on a surviving twin at the death of a twin? I know it's an incredible amount of stress. As I mentioned before concerning neuroemotional technique that I use in my practice for over 30 years, what is neuroemotional technique? It was founded and created by Dr. Scott Walker, who practices in California. Neuroemotional technique uses muscle testing as a diagnostic tool and uses the meridian access point to define the different emotions. Emotions are tied to all organs. As I mentioned, Candace Perk, using the opioid receptors, proved that each organ and parts of our body retain emotions. And Candace Perk quoted, "The body is the unconscious mind. Repressed traumas caused by overwhelming emotion can be stored in a body part, thereafter affecting our ability to feel that part or even move it." One of the most recent and most powerful research projects that the One Foundation has published to prove that NET works is from the Thomas Jefferson Medical School. They interviewed several patients who were told that you have terminal cancer. And what they did is they put them in a functional MRI while they were thinking about being told they had terminal cancer. And the parahippocampus really lit up in this functional MRI. And what they did is they did several NET sessions, and then they put them back in the functional MRI while they thought about being told and the feelings about being told you have terminal cancer, and that parahippocampus did not lit up. And the neuroscientist, Dr. Nerberg, said, "Do you understand what's going on? The brain is being changed for the better through NET. This is phenomenal research and proving the effectiveness of NET." Recently, I found this book from Leah Detrick concerning her twin that vanished and how it affected her whole life. I've asked for this book, and I will communicate with her concerning my book. And what the synopsis is, it's exactly the tension between retaining your individuality, absorbing yourself into someone else, that unfurls throughout Vanishing Twins. Her writing is crisp and intelligent. She relies on architecture, Greek mythology, and even language to place her relationship in the context of a wider world. The vanishing twin affects relationships throughout one's life, and through NET, to be able to get that charge off of someone will help those relationships be improved and better and more at peace. With a surviving twin, there's material that's just transferred back and forth from one twin to another. We always talk about what physically is transferred or what emotionally is transferred. Dr. Wayne Scott from Toronto, Canada, and I came up with the fetal transference technique. We talked about the saliva that's transferred or hormones that transfer. And what we did through years of research, that the most important thing that we need to be okay with is the peptides that are transferred from one twin to another. And as the peptides are released and congruent, then there's more peace and understanding. The summary of the neuro-emotional technique, vanishing twin transfer technique, this technique is for patients that have experienced NET and desire a great breakthrough concerning their relationship with a vanishing twin or living twin. This procedure has helped those who are twin, triplet, or have a vanishing twin. And so we talked about what takes place, and it's the neuropeptides that the surviving twin needs to be okay with. And I've taught this throughout the United States about what can be done to be okay with what is transferred from one twin to another. Hormonal transference from one twin to another. Fetuses are influenced by hormones in the womb. Female twins are more likely to be affected by testosterone in the womb. Facial features, finger length are resulted by an increase of testosterone in the womb. People talk about left-handed people being a twin. It's a hypothesis, it's not the majority. There's the mirror technique, the mirror phenomena that take place in twins. One twin will have a mole on the left cheek, The other twin will have a mole the exact same place on the right cheek. It's a mirror affecting. One twin's right-handed, the other twin is left-handed. When I see a left-handed person, sometimes they'll say, "Are you a twin?" Sometimes they'll say no, sometimes they'll hesitate. I just pose that question to them. They may be a twin, they may not be a twin, but left-handedness could possibly be from twinning. Okay, everybody, let's look at your right hand. And in the right hand, there's a difference between the index finger and the ring finger. The testosterone builds the length of the fourth finger on the right hand in the womb. The longer your ring finger in relation to your index or your pointing finger, the more likely to have mathematical, mechanical, or musical skills. So the typical female right hand, the ring finger is shorter than the index finger. And the typical male right hand, the ring finger on the right hand is longer than the index finger. This is a picture of Dr. Mark Breedlove. He did a research project in San Francisco years ago. Dr. Mark Breedlove sampled 720 people in San Francisco. He photocopied their right hand, and in compensation he gave them a lottery ticket. And his results said that women and men finger length has something to do with sexual orientation. The lesbians' average finger ratios were more like males. The males in this study, there's no difference in the straights versus the gays. And his hypothesis is that in the womb, the females that were exposed to testosterone, in his words, for some unknown reason, would cause them to have more testosterone in their life and the propensity to be a lesbian. My thought is that these female twins had a male twin that caused the testosterone level to be higher in their lives. Another important part is birth order. Gay males that had two or more older brothers had a slightly lower ratio of finger length. Mommy of twins, one in heaven, one on earth. On Facebook page, there's quite a few pages that have support for mothers who've lost a twin. At times I'll receive a phone call or an email or something on one of my websites that this mother has gone to the doctor, had an ultrasound done the first trimester, and they said, "Oh, you're having twins." They're so excited. Then a month or two later, they have a second ultrasound and one of the twins has died. The doctor says, "Oh, one of your twins has died. It's vanished. I'm sorry." And the mother is so upset, she doesn't know what to do, and she contacts me. I refer her to the vanishingtwin.com website, to my book, and to help these mothers understand that there's hope and there's understanding out there for them. Because the parents suffer also with the loss of a twin, even though the other twin may be born and survives. Many people ask me, how would I know if I'm a survivor of a vanished twin? On my website, I have a questionnaire that goes through different questions and thoughts about, are you a survivor of vanished twin? It's a great thought-provoking questionnaire there for you. A lot of movies will talk about twins that have vanished, and some of these movies are The Double Life of Veronica. Also, Well Rider had a situation in there about her twin. Another inspiring movie is Nell, starring Liam Neeson and Jodie Foster. Nell is a young lady whose mother is deaf, who's passed away, and the state becomes involved trying to figure out how to help this young girl who's grown up to be a young lady. She doesn't speak English because her mother was deaf, and she just kind of mumbles and tries to express herself. Very touching movie. Twin Falls, Idaho is another great film, written and directed by a set of twins who in the movie are Siamese twins connected. And they talk about how they were living and one was dying. And the quote in the movie that I really enjoyed is, "We came into this world together, we'll leave this world together." I highly recommend this film also. As I was sharing my research with a veterinarian in Hawaii one time, he said, "Have you ever heard about free martinism?" I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "Well, it's in cattle. It's twinning in cattle. The bull's hormones will sterilize the heifer, which is called a free martin, and the heifer is infertile. In humans, females who have a male twin are less likely to marry. So what about the hormonal transfers that takes place from male to female in the womb, and how it affects their sterility and their marrying and other aspects of their life? Here are some twins that were famous twins that had problems in their life that could be possibly related to their dead twin. Elvis Presley, Bob Dylan, Leonardo da Vinci, John Lennon, Edgar Allan Poe, and Paul McCartney. And how many of these are left-handed? Some of them are. I'm going to talk about chimerism. What is a chimera? A chimera, by definition, is a monster which is part goat, part lion, and part snake. It's 2 DNA profiles in one body. DNA is different for every individual. It's the blueprint of our life. There's a documentary that I found called I Am My Own Twin. It was on the Learning Channel. And it talks about this little boy that was born in Texas. Half male, half female, half black, Afro-American, and half white. This is the story of Lydia Fairchild from the state of Washington. She had 2 children with her boyfriend Jamie. Had another one with him, and then they separated. And when he left, she didn't have enough funds to take care of herself and her children and asked for state assistance. Both Lydia and Jamie's DNA were tested, and Lydia received a phone call from the state and asked her to come in so they could tell her the results. And they said that Jamie is 99% the father. And Jamie said, well, of course I'm the father. I was there for the birth of each of these children. Then they did Lydia's results, and they said that the normal pattern for DNA between a mother and child is 50% between the child and the mother. Lydia's DNA did not show any relationship with her children. And they said, are these your sister's children? And they accused her of welfare fraud. And they said the children will be separated and put in a foster home. And they started accusing her, which caused an incredible amount of stress in Lydia. The chances of Lydia being the mother is 1 in a billion. They did 3 more DNA tests with the same results. And Jamie testified to the truth of these children because he was there. And Jamie was very distressful, and the state started looking into Jamie's situation, and they found this research from Karen Keegan. And Karen needed a kidney. And she needed a kidney transplant because she was dying. Her sons were tested as donors, and they had the DNA of their mother, the 2 older ones. And she was a special ed teacher in the community. And the sons, the 2 older sons' DNA did not match Karen's. They said the tests were wrong. So they retested. And Karen was becoming more sick, and she needed a kidney. The husband donated his kidney, which only lasted a year. And they thought Karen was lying also, or deceiving, or maybe she had in vitro fertilization. And after a year, that kidney she received from her husband didn't function, didn't work, so she needed another kidney, which she received from her brother. The new doctor was really curious about Karen's DNA and how it didn't match that of her son's. And they started testing her some more. And they said, well, maybe she's a possible chimera, that she has something else from her dead twin. And they said there's only 40 known cases in the world at the time, and their DNA did not match that of her son's. And what is a chimera? It's 2 fertilized eggs that are fused together. And this must happen in the first 4 days after conception. And Harvard Medical School and the American Red Cross started getting involved in this and donated money. And when they started testing Karen, they started testing different parts of her body. They tested her blood. Of course, that didn't show a different DNA. And then they tested her cells of her skin and her hair. And then they tested inside her mouth. And that's the most common testing today, is swabbing inside of the mouth to test for the DNA. But the swab testing in her mouth proved the same DNA that she already had. Then they found some old tissue from her bladder and her thyroid from previous surgeries, and they started finding some results. They said the hair and thyroid have totally different DNA. Most tissues had both, yet a dominant one type of DNA. Then Karen's thyroid had the most of the lesser DNA in her thyroid after they tested years and years to find out that she had two different types of DNA. At times, people will have one color eye different than the other. Other people have two different blood types. Those are chimeras. It's the fused two eggs of two different people that becomes one. Lydia's attorney in Washington found out about this article, Mr. Alan Tyndall, and the hypothesis is, well, maybe Lydia is a chimera also. Back to Karen, they sent Karen's blood sample to Scotland Yard in Great Britain, and they said if her DNA were found at a crime scene, it would be that of two different closely related females. Only Lydia's cervix was found to have two different DNA cells. And so what happened, Lydia was expecting her fourth child with Jamie, and she was standing before the judge, and the judge was ready to take her children away. And she said, I'm due on Monday. And the judge said, okay, we'll have somebody there, court ordered, to draw your blood and the blood of the baby. And that took place as soon as the baby was born, and the blood DNA did not match. And that's when they realized that Lydia is a chimera, has two different DNAs inside her body, and only the cervix of her body had a different type of DNA. There are several TV shows that have had the chimera situation, that somebody was posing as somebody else. House had an episode of Chimerism. All My Children did. CSI, the crime scene investigation. The Office did. The chimera cells could only be found in one organ of the body, and they said it's extremely rare. Well, most of us don't have all the different organs tested for DNA to see if we are a chimera. Never trust DNA testing. No one could ever know if one is a chimera without extensive testing. Who says this is rare? I don't. Autoimmune diseases. A case of mistaken identity. In an autoimmune disease, the body fails to recognize its own tissue and begins to attack against itself. Fetal cells left from a pregnancy or fetal cells left from a vanished twin could create autoimmune diseases. What are some examples of autoimmune disease? Lupus, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac disease, and other allergies. At this time, I want to share with you an award-winning short film called Hey Brooklyn. It was written and directed by Brent Babcock. The setting is 1994, where Brooklyn, an 8-year-old, is trying to raise $700 so they won't be evicted out of their home. She reaches out to a friend, Austin, in this goal of $700. Enjoy the film. A friend of mine, Nancy Siegel, a twin expert, has written a new book called Twin Misconceptions, False Beliefs, Fables, and Facts About Twinning. It's very insightful, very well written, a great book that you need to read. Nancy Siegel said, the level of grief a twin experiences when the other twin dies is greater than that experienced after the death of a mother, father, or other sibling, and equals the bereavement felt when a spouse dies. I've shared this experience with other people throughout the United States and throughout the world. On the vanishingtwin.com website, there's a page and a section for practitioners, and it's for anyone to look at. Dr. Teshna Alu has helped write this. It's taking a deeper look at the vanishing twin syndrome. And on this page it has suggestions of ideas of where to get some help and what to do concerning the relationships and surviving what has taken place in the womb. Years ago, I was asked to speak at the prenatal seminar in California, Monterey, California, and I talked about the twin that vanished and help instruct psychiatrists, psychologists, and social workers about the impact of a twin that vanished. Also, I spoke in Stillwater, Oklahoma, to Osteopathic College, to the obstetrician students about looking for twins that vanished in ultrasounds. Nancy titled her dissertation, An Exploration into the Vanishing Twin Syndrome and its Possible Psychological Influence on the Surviving Twin, a phenomenological analysis of the behaviors of a 3-year-old during therapy. I've been asked to speak at different venues all over the world. In 2009, I spoke at the Womb Twin Conference in London, England. Here's my personal business card concerning the vanishing twin. If this makes sense to you to have answers to your questions, you can order my book from vanishingtwin.com. You can order it also on amazon.com. You can email me, you can call me for more information. Here is a great website, wombtwin.com. Aletha wrote several books. She's passed away now, but there's great information for you at this website. Also, for more assistance is the Twinless Twin group at twinlesstwin.org. Every summer in July, they have a conference where twinless twin survivors can meet and greet and help each other, be the loss in the womb or a month ago. I highly recommend the Twinless Twin group and their website. I spoke at the Twinless Twin group over the years in helping those who've survived and sharing my book and then helping others through the grieving process. The birthpsychology.com website, that's those that believe that fetuses feel, and they preach that and teach that information. Also on Facebook, there's quite a few Facebook pages for womb twin survivors or parents of twins that have died. That's a great source also. At this time, I'd like to share with you experience that I had at a Twinless Twin conference. A farewell bid to my sister. This was published in 2016. The annual Twinless Twin conference had concluded. I pondered the events, memories, and death of my twin sister in the womb. Questioning myself of where I was on the journey of the grieving process, I set out Sunday morning for a long run around Ford Lake. Heavy on my heart was the balloon release experience of the previous day. I chose a lavender-colored balloon, thinking that my sister would choose that over pink that I chose last year. The releasing of the balloons last year in Denver was very powerful and healing. Embraced and surrounded in the arms of another twinless twin, I sobbed and sobbed. Surprised at the release of my emotions, I was pondering what my emotional reaction would be this time. With a marker in my hand, I wrote notes to my beloved deceased sibling. I shared the status of my children. I wrote my love and devotion to her and the joy of being with her again. Clinging to the helium-filled balloon, I followed the group to the grassy hill. Poems were read, and a very choice song was heard about remembering me always. I fought back the tears with many long, deep breaths of life. At the point of time, balloons were released into the air. The wind carried them away, not mine. I let go of the white ribbon, and the lavender balloon with my message to my sister went straight to the grass. I didn't want it to pop at such a sacred time. I felt the impulse to kick it with my right foot. Oh, how I could do such a thing to something representing the other half of me. Why would she want to go to earth and not up to the sky? What freedom I saw in the other balloons. The weeping of others increased with each ascent of the balloons. Then to my horror, I heard a balloon explode. Where could I turn for comfort? My back was turned to the other balloons and twinless twins. A gut-wrenching pain increased as the seconds passed. Maybe it was the balloon of someone else. With courage, I turned my tear-filled eyes to see the sky full of balloons. I searched the blue sky for my lavender balloon covered with my sentiments of love and grief for my sister. I ran to the group that had begun to gather again. Deep in my heart, I questioned, was that my balloon that dropped and popped? Others loaded the bus to return to the hotel. I couldn't face anyone because of the condition that I was in at that time. Walking back to the hotel was the best choice, which would decrease the pain. That Sunday morning, I ran as I approached the grassy hill. It was a cool, beautiful morning. My heart rate increased as I drew near the place of the balloon release. There at my feet were the remnants of a lavender balloon and white ribbon. In despair, I dropped to my knees in agony. Gently I caressed the remnants. In my palms I could see the writing on the balloon. Oh, how much pain I must endure, I shouted. I knew in my heart that today and now would be another step of closure for me. What should or could I do with what was in my hands? Run, Brent, run. I sprinted back to the trail. In a few minutes I came upon a steep decline into the lake area. Running has been very therapeutic for me for the past 7 years. The ability to clear my mind and heart at times has been greatly needed and appreciated. The time and miles passed as I carried the relics of the balloon and ribbon in my hand. While lecturing and caring for those who have lost a twin, I have suggested a burial. Taking to heart my advice, I searched for the site for my twin sister. Next to a tree seemed to soften my heart and quicken my pace. No, not that tree, I pondered. Maybe that one, or maybe even under a rock, would be a special place. Then off in the distance I saw the precious location to put to rest the remnants of what I chose to represent my dear twin sister. As heavy as my heart has ever been, I knelt down on my knees. No one was in sight to hear or see my heart and sobbing. I lifted the rock and cleared the debris as I've done in burying animals that have passed away. This was very different. This time there was no body to lay to rest. Spreading the balloon and the white ribbon on the ground, I whispered a farewell bid to my sister. Run, Brent, run. I did. What a relief I felt. The extreme heavy burden on my heart and shoulders was gone. The angels were with me as I floated around the lake. As I approached the steep incline, leaving the lake trails, the heaviness in my body was gone. At the top of the hill, I turned to look back at the gravesite of my sister with no remorse. With each passing moment, the healing from grief of the death of my sister diminishes. As I pass the cemetery, I know that all is well with my sister and me, for we are both free. In conclusion, I'd like to share with you a phrase that's meant a great deal to me. Once a twin, always a twin. At the end of my book, on page 156, it says, "The journey of writing this book has ended. The website, vanishingtwin.com, will continue to be updated with more information that has not been included here." Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull and Illusions, wrote, "I do not enjoy writing at all. If I can turn my back on an idea out there in the dark, if I can avoid opening the door to it, I won't even reach for a pencil. But once in a while there's a great dynamic burst of flying glass and brick and splinters through the front wall, and somebody stalks over the rumble, seizes me by the throat, and gently says, 'I will not let you go until you set me in words on paper.' I've now set on paper as the premier book in the world that exclusively is written in detail of the twin that vanished. My throat is free, my soul is at peace, it is finished." As you order this book from vanishingtwin.com or from amazon.com, and you'll find out if perhaps you are a twin, as I am, you'll be able to understand what's taken place and why and how to get help and not be so alone. So many people are alone. They're searching, as Izzy, looking and searching for that unquenchable thirst of what's missing in their life. So many addictions are because there's a hole in their heart, and it could be from the twin that vanished. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.